Close your eyes for a moment. Remember the last thought that came to your mind this morning. It seemed like yours, didn't it? Your own inner voice, your personal opinion. And now the question that will change everything. Where did this thought come from? Did it really arise from the depth of your true being, or is it an echo of thousands of voices that have spoken to you since birth? Welcome to the most shocking truth about human existence. Most of what you call yourself is not yours. It's a downloaded program, a social operating system installed without your consent. In previous videos, we talked about personal Maya, the illusion of the separate ego, but there's an even deeper layer of deception, collective Maya, the social matrix that turns billions of people into biological machines reproducing the same programs. Imagine a newborn baby, pure consciousness, unclouded awareness. Now run a time lapse of their life. Parents say, you must be like this. School says, this is how you should think. Society says, this is normal, that is not. Religion says, believe in this. Culture says, strive for that. Layer by layer, year by year, the true self is buried under the rubble of others' beliefs, others' fears, others' desires. By age 25, a person no longer remembers who they were originally. Ancient sages called this avidya, fundamental ignorance. But this is not just personal delusion. It's a collective trance, mass hypnosis where everyone is hypnotized and no one remembers who the hypnotist was. You think you choose your profession? Look honestly, how much of that choice belonged to your parents? How much to social approval? How much to fear of judgment? You think your political views are the result of deep analysis, or perhaps you simply absorbed what was said around you in childhood. Are you sure your idea of happiness is your own? Or has advertising that you've seen 10,000 times convinced you happiness is a new car, a beautiful house, a perfect family? This is not criticism. This is not accusation. This is simply a fact of how the human mind functions. We are social beings, and our mind is formed in a social environment, just as a fish is shaped by the water it swims in. But here's the tragedy. Most people live their entire lives without even suspecting that they're not living their own life. They're living out a social script. They're playing a role written for them by others. And this is the greatest slavery. Because a slave in chains knows they're a slave. But a person programmed by society is convinced they're free. Invisible chains are the strongest because you don't try to break them. You don't see that they exist.
Money doesn't grow on trees. Have you heard this phrase? Perhaps even said it to your children. Now ask yourself, is this your wisdom or the voice of your grandmother who lived in poverty and passed on her fear of scarcity to you? Don't stand out. What will people say? Men don't cry. Women must be modest. How many such phrases sound in your head every day? These are not your thoughts. These are voices of the dead. Ancestors who are long gone continue to speak through you. They control your decisions from the grave. In ancient teachings, there is the concept of pitri, spirits of ancestors. But this is not mysticism. This is psychological reality. Your great-grandmothers and great-grandfathers live in the structure of your brain. Their fears became your fears, their limitations, your boundaries. Family is not just a group of people, it's a transmitter of programs. Genetic code transmits eye color, but the family system transmits something more powerful: thinking patterns, emotional reactions, deep beliefs about the world. Did your grandfather survive war and hunger? His fear of scarcity was recorded in the family field, and now you, living in abundance, still experience causeless anxiety when spending money. Was your great-grandmother expelled from the community for being different? Her fear of rejection now lives in you. and you're afraid to stand out, not understanding why. This is called transgenerational trauma. Scientists have proven the experience of ancestors is recorded in the epigenetic code and transmitted through generations. This is not a metaphor. This is biology. But there's also cultural transmission. Your nationality, your religion, your social class, all these are program packages installed in your consciousness. If you were born in the United States, you have certain automatic reactions inherited from centuries of history. Collective memory of the founding myths, the pioneer spirit, the American dream, wars and cultural conflicts shapes your worldview, even if you've never thought about it. If you grew up in a religious family, certain concepts of sin, duty, right, and wrong are imprinted in your psyche so deeply that even if you rationally reject religion, the emotional reactions remain. Imagine there's a meeting happening in your head. Sitting at the table are your mother, saying, "Be careful, the world is dangerous." Your father, demanding, "Be strong, don't show weakness." Your grandmother, lamenting, "What will people say?" Your grandfather commanding, "A man must endure." The priest from childhood, warning, "This is a sin." The teacher repeating, "You're not good enough." And where in this chorus of voices are you? Your true voice, is it even there? Most people live their entire lives never hearing their own voice because the internal dialogue is completely occupied by the voices of other people. Carl Jung called this the process of individuation, separation of oneself from the collective. To become an individual means to stop being a projection of others' expectations. But this requires incredible courage, because when you begin to separate from collective programs, you feel as if you are betraying your ancestors, as if cutting off your roots. In reality, you're not betraying them, you're liberating them, because as long as you carry their unconscious fears and pain, they cannot find peace. They are stuck in you. When you become aware of these programs and choose to release them, you break the chain of trauma transmission. You heal not only yourself, but the entire family lineage.
Carl Jung made one of the greatest discoveries in psychology. There exists not only a personal unconscious, but also a collective one, an ocean of archetypes and patterns to which all human minds are connected. This is not a mystical theory. This is an observable fact. Why do the same symbols appear in cultures that have never contacted each other? Why do people on different continents have similar dreams? Why are the archetypes of mother, hero, sage universal? Because all human minds bathe in one ocean. The collective unconscious is like air that we all breathe, but psychic air. And here's what's shocking. Most of your thoughts don't come from your personal mind, but from this collective field. You think you're generating thoughts. In reality, you're catching them, like a radio catches waves. Have you ever noticed that certain ideas become popular simultaneously in different parts of the world? This is not coincidence. The collective field activates certain thinking patterns in millions of people at once. Fashion, trends, mass movements, all these are waves in the collective unconscious. And people think they're making individual choices, but in reality, they're all resonating with the same wave. In ancient India, this was understood. They spoke of chitta, the universal mind of which each individual mind is a part. A drop in the ocean thinks it's separate, but it consists of the same water as the entire ocean. The most dangerous thing about the collective unconscious is collective shadows. Jung showed what society rejects and doesn't want to see in itself goes into the collective shadow. And this shadow periodically erupts in the form of mass psychoses, wars, genocides.
Nazi Germany is a classic example of collective possession by the shadow archetype. Millions of educated, cultured people suddenly fell into collective madness. How is this possible? Because the individual mind is weak against the collective field. When the collective unconscious activates a certain archetype, billions of people begin to act as one organism. Look at the modern world. Mass panic, mass hysteria, mass hatred spread through social media at the speed of light. These are not individual decisions. This is the collective field capturing individual minds. And here's the tragedy. People think their anger, their fear, their beliefs are their own. They don't understand they're caught by a collective wave. It's like surfing. The surfer thinks he controls the board, but in reality, he's just riding a wave that carries him. If the wave goes to shore, he goes to shore. If the wave goes to the ocean, he goes to the ocean. Same with the collective unconscious. You think you control your life, but if you're not aware of collective programs, you're simply riding the wave of mass consciousness. Buddha spoke of Sangha, a community of practitioners. Why is this so important? Because the collective field of a group influences the individual mind. If you're surrounded by awakened people, the collective field supports your awakening. If you're surrounded by sleeping people, the collective field pulls you back into sleep. That's why sages went to caves and monasteries, not because they hated the world, but because they understood. To awaken, you must first exit the collective trance. And this is impossible when you're immersed in it 24/7. In the modern world, this is even harder. You have a device in your pocket that connects you to the collective unconscious of billions of people. Every time you open social media, you dive into an ocean of others' emotions, opinions, programs. And your mind absorbs this like a sponge. After an hour of scrolling, you no longer know which of your thoughts are yours and which are downloaded from the collective field. Therefore, the practice of mindfulness begins with a simple question. Is this thought mine, or did I catch it from the collective field?
There are invisible gods ruling the modern world. You don't see them in temples, but you serve them every day. Their names are success, status, beauty, youth, wealth. This is not a metaphor. These are real energetic fields created by the collective consciousness of billions of people. In esoteric tradition, they're called egregors, collective entities that feed on people's energy and attention. Imagine, 1 billion people simultaneously believe in the same thing. They all direct their attention, their emotions, their life force to one point. What happens? A powerful psychic field is created that begins to live its own life. And this field influences people back. It dictates how to think, what to feel, what to strive for. People think they're making free choices, but in reality, they're dancing to the baton of an invisible conductor. The egregor of success. Look how it works. Since childhood, you're told you must be successful, you must achieve, you must become somebody. Millions of people live in constant stress because they serve this god. They sacrifice their health, their relationships, their peace, all for this egregor of success to accept their offering. And you know what's most terrifying? Even when a person achieves success, they don't feel satisfied. Why? Because the egregor is never satiated. It always demands more. More money, more achievements, more recognition. The egregor of beauty. Billions of dollars are spent every year to support this god. Women and men torture their bodies to conform to constantly changing standards. Who created these standards? Nobody specifically. They emerged from the collective field. And now they control millions of lives. Plastic surgeries, diets, fitness to exhaustion, social media filters. All these are sacrifices to the egregor of beauty, and the more people serve it, the stronger it becomes. The egregor of youth. Modern society has declared war on aging. Being old is almost a crime. Therefore, people panic trying to stop time. Anti-aging creams, injections, hormones, anything to avoid aging. But here's the paradox. The more you fight aging, the more you suffer. Because you're at war with nature itself. You're rejecting the natural process of life. And this war makes you miserable. In ancient cultures, old age was a symbol of wisdom. Elders were the most respected members of society. But the modern egregor has turned everything upside down. Now old age is a shame that must be hidden. The egregor of money, possibly the most powerful of all. Money has become humanity's new religion. People spend most of their lives chasing money. They sell their time, their health, their soul, all for money. And here's what's interesting. Money itself is just paper or digits on a screen. It has no intrinsic value. But the collective belief of billions of people endows it with incredible power. This is pure magic, a mass hallucination that everyone agreed to believe in. Egregors of nations. Patriotism is also an egregor. Millions of people are ready to kill and die for imaginary lines on a map. They believe their nation is special, chosen, right, and this belief makes them hate people on the other side of the border, although on a personal level, these people could be friends. Wars are battles between egregors, where people are merely pawns. Soldiers think they're fighting for freedom or justice, but in reality, they're feeding hungry gods of nationalism with their blood. Religious egregors. For millennia, people have killed each other in the name of God. Crusades, jihads, inquisitions, all this is service to religious egregors. The irony is that true spirituality speaks of love and unity, while religious egregors generate division and hatred. So how do you free yourself from the power of egregors? The first step is to see them. Realize that most of your desires are not yours. They're imposed by the collective field. Do you really want the new iPhone? Or has the egregor of consumption implanted this desire through thousands of advertising messages? Do you really fear aging? Or has the egregor of youth created this fear? Do you really feel inadequate without status and achievements? Or has the egregor of success convinced you that you're not good enough? When you start asking these questions, the power of egregors weakens, because egregors feed on unconsciousness. The less aware you are of their influence, the more they control you. But when you see the mechanism, you stop being its victim. You can choose whether to serve these invisible gods or find your true self beyond all collective programs.
Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I'm becoming like my father, or I'm repeating my mother's mistakes? This is not coincidence. This is the work of one of the most powerful mechanisms of conditioning transmission, family scripts. The family system is like a theater troupe where roles are passed down through generations. Grandmother played the role of victim. Mother inherits this role. Daughter automatically accepts it, not even realizing. Grandfather was an alcoholic. Father vowed never to drink, but became a workaholic. The addiction didn't disappear. It just changed form. Because it's not about alcohol. It's about unresolved pain, transmitted through generations. Psychologists call this systemic constellations. Bert Hellinger showed, in every family, there's hidden dynamics, invisible loyalties, unconscious contracts. And children automatically take on the burden of parents' unlived emotions. Mother couldn't process her anger. Daughter will carry this anger for her. Father couldn't allow himself to grieve.
Son will live in chronic depression, not understanding why. This is not parents' fault. It's simply the mechanism of how the family system works. Classic script. In our family, we've always had money problems. This belief is transmitted like DNA. Even if a person gets good education and opportunities, they'll sabotage their success to stay in the familiar script of poverty. Why do we cling so tightly to family scripts even when they're destructive? Because they give a sense of belonging. Family is our first tribe, and being expelled from the tribe for the ancient brain is equivalent to death. Therefore, when you start changing, when you try to exit the family script, enormous fear arises. The unconscious screams, if you become different, you'll be rejected, you'll be alone. And here's the tragedy. Often, when a person truly starts changing, the family resists, not out of malice, but out of fear. Because when one element of the system changes, the entire system must restructure, and that's painful. A mother who played the victim role all her life doesn't want her daughter to be strong and independent. Not because she doesn't love her daughter, but because the daughter's strength questions the mother's choice. It's a mirror the mother doesn't want to look into. A father who lived in fear and didn't realize his dreams will unconsciously sabotage his son's courage, not out of jealousy, but from an unconscious message. If I couldn't, then you can't either. Otherwise, it would mean I could have, but didn't. That's why the path of awakening often includes separation from family. Not necessarily physical, but psychological. Jesus said, "A man's enemies will be the members of his own household." Harsh words, but there's deep truth in them. To become yourself, sometimes you need to betray family expectations. And this requires incredible courage, because family can use the most powerful weapon, guilt. After everything we've done for you, you're killing me. I gave you my whole life. These phrases are hooks that keep you in the family script. But here's what's important to understand. True love does not require sacrificing yourself. A parent who demands the child live their life doesn't love, they use. Real love says, be yourself, even if it doesn't match my expectations. And when you find the courage to be yourself, something amazing happens. You don't just free yourself. You give permission for the entire family system to change. You show by example that it can be different. Your children won't inherit your traumas if you become aware of and work through them. You'll break the chain of pain transmission. This is true love for your lineage. Not blind loyalty, but conscious healing.
Imagine the entire world is a huge theatrical production, and every person plays a role assigned to them by society. Businessman, housewife, student, retiree, successful, loser, normal, strange. This is not just a metaphor. Sociologists call these social roles, and they determine most human behavior. The problem is people forget these are roles. They identify with them completely. Ask a person, "Who are you?" And they'll answer, "I'm a doctor," or "I'm a mother," or "I'm an entrepreneur." They name their social role, not their true self, the role they play in the social theater. And what happens if you remove this role? Who are you without your profession, without your social status, without your achievements? Most people panic because under the mask of the role, emptiness. They don't know who they really are. Social Maya works through mass agreement about reality. Everyone agreed that certain things are important and others are not. Everyone agreed that success looks a certain way. Everyone agreed there's a normal way to live. And if you don't fit these frames, you feel wrong. Not because you're actually wrong, but because you don't match the collective hallucination of what a person should be. Homosexuality. 100 years ago, it was considered a mental illness. Now, it's normal in most developed countries. What changed? People? No. Social Maya changed, the collective agreement about what's normal. Women's role. 100 years ago, a woman should stay home and have children. A working woman was a scandal. Now, normal. Again, social Maya changed. This shows how arbitrary social norms are. They're not based on absolute truth. They're based on collective agreement. But this agreement has enormous power because everyone believes in it. The school system is a perfect example of social Maya. Children sit in rows, listen to authority, memorize information, take tests. This system wasn't created for education. It was created to produce obedient workers. The Industrial Revolution needed people who could follow instructions, work on schedule, not ask questions. Therefore, mass schooling was created. And for 200 years, this system has barely changed, although the world has changed completely. Why? Because social Maya resists change. It self-reproduces. Parents who went through this system themselves send children into the same system because that's how it should be, because everyone does it this way. The work week. Why 40 hours? Why 5 days? This is not a natural law. It's just a social agreement that emerged at a certain moment in history. But people live as if it's the only possible way to organize life. What if there are other ways? What if you could work 3 days a week and live a fuller life? But even the thought of this causes resistance because it challenges social Maya. Retirement. Modern idea, work 40 years, then live on pension. But look at reality. Many people die shortly after retirement. Why? Because their identity was tied to work. Without work, they lost their reason to live. This is the tragedy of social Maya. It makes people postpone life for later. Endure now and later it will be good. But later may never come. Social media, a new form of social Maya. People create perfect versions of their life online, and everyone knows it's not reality. But everyone continues playing this game. Because if you don't play, you drop out of the social field. Likes, followers, views have become the new currency of social significance. A teenager measures their worth by the number of likes. An adult feels successful if they have many followers. This is a new form of slavery, more subtle and therefore more dangerous. Previously, the church told people how to live. Then the state did it. Now, corporations do it through advertising and social media. The form of control changes, but the essence remains. An external force dictates who you should be. The hardest thing about social Maya is that exiting it means becoming an outcast. People who refuse to play social roles are considered strange, dangerous, abnormal. But here's the paradox. It's precisely these strange people who move humanity forward. Artists, mystics, inventors, revolutionaries. They all went beyond social Maya and saw something new. Buddha was a prince who refused his social role. Jesus was a carpenter who didn't fit into the religious system of his time. They paid a high price for exiting Maya, but they also gained freedom.
So you've realized that most of your thoughts, beliefs, desires are not yours. They're downloaded from the collective field. What next? How do you break out of this matrix of conditioning? The first step is the most painful. You must admit you don't know who you really are. Everything you considered yourself, roles, masks, programs, beneath them mystery, the unknown. Most people avoid this admission at any cost because the unknown is frightening. It's easier to cling to a familiar identity, even if it's false, than to dive into the void of the true self. But this very void is the gateway to freedom. When you release all definitions of yourself, when you say, "I don't know who I am," you create space for the true self to emerge. The second step, learn to hear the difference between your voice and the voices of programs. It's like learning to distinguish instruments in an orchestra. At first, everything merges into one noise, but gradually you begin to distinguish, this is mother's voice, this is society's voice, this is the voice of fear, this is the voice of ego. And somewhere there, beneath all these voices, there's silence. And from this silence, sometimes rises a very quiet voice. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it simply is. This is the voice of your true self. Meditation is one way to learn to hear this voice. When you sit in silence, all the loud voices of programs gradually quiet down, and in the silence, you can hear something authentic. But meditation is not an escape from the world. It's training in awareness that you then bring into daily life. You learn to catch the moment when a collective program tries to seize control. You're standing in a store line and suddenly feel irritation. Stop. Where does this irritation come from? Is this really my reaction? Or is it an automatic pattern downloaded from the culture of impatience and hurry? You see an advertisement for a new phone and feel the desire to buy it. Stop. Is this really my desire? Or has the egregore of consumption activated the new equals better program? A colleague at work achieves success and you feel envy. Stop. Is this really my emotion? Or is it the competition program that society implanted in me? Every time you catch yourself in an automatic reaction and ask, "Is this mine?" you create a micro-pause. And in this pause, there is freedom. The pause between stimulus and response is the space of conscious choice. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." The third step, willingness to be misunderstood. When you begin living from the true self, you automatically exit the collective agreement. And people don't understand you. They think you're strange, selfish, abnormal. This is the price of individuation. You can't simultaneously please the collective and be yourself. You must choose. And this choice requires enormous courage. Your family may not understand. Your friends may distance themselves. Society may judge you. But here's what's important to understand. Those who judge you are themselves imprisoned in collective programs. They're not evil. They're simply asleep. And your awakening reminds them of their own sleep, which causes discomfort. The fourth step, find your tribe. Not necessarily a physical community. This could be books by sages of the past who walked this path. This could be nature, which doesn't impose social programs. This could be a few people who are also on the path of awakening. It's important to understand, you cannot awaken alone while in a toxic environment. The collective field is too strong. You need support, at least energetically. The fifth step, practice of discernment. Not everything in the collective is bad. There's wisdom of generations. There are cultural achievements. There's collective human experience that is valuable. The task is not to reject everything collective. The task is to choose consciously, not to swallow everything indiscriminately, but also not to reject everything on principle. Wisdom is in taking the best from collective experience and integrating it with your unique path. You're not against culture. You're for consciousness. And finally, the sixth step, compassion.
When you see how people live in the collective trance, don't judge them. You were there too. You know how difficult it is to wake up. Each person awakens in their own time. Your task is not to save everyone. Your task is to be an example, to live from the true self, and thereby create a crack in the social maya through which light can penetrate to others. Breaking through the collective is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Every day you choose, live on autopilot of collective programs or live from awareness of the true self. And with each day, this choice becomes easier because you begin to taste freedom, and no approval from society compares with the feeling of being yourself.
We've come a long way in this video, from recognizing the invisible chains of social programming to understanding how to exit the collective trance. Now let's look at the ultimate goal of this journey. Carl Jung called this process individuation, becoming a whole indivisible individual, not an ego that opposes itself to the world, but the true self that is simultaneously unique and one with everything. This sounds paradoxical, but it's the key. True individuality doesn't separate you from the world. It connects you with the world at a deeper level. When you no longer wear masks of social roles, you can meet others without masks. Individuation is not selfishness. It's liberation from ego. The ego needs social approval, status, recognition. The true self needs nothing external, because it's complete in itself. In the Eastern tradition, there's a similar concept, svadharma. This is your unique path, your individual dharma, not what society tells you to do, not what parents expect, but what you came into this world for. Every person carries within themselves a unique seed, but collective conditioning doesn't allow this seed to sprout. Instead of an oak, a shrub grows, similar to all other shrubs. Individuation is allowing your seed to unfold completely. But here's what's important to understand. Individuation is not the endpoint. It's a transition to an even deeper state, samadhi. Samadhi is a state where individual consciousness merges with the universal, when the drop realizes it's the ocean, when the wave understands its water. At first glance, this contradicts individuation. If we strive to become unique individuals, why dissolve in the universal? But this is not a contradiction. It's the next level. First, you must become yourself, so you can then transcend even this. You cannot dissolve in the ocean if you haven't first become a whole drop. Most people are not individuals. They're collective projections. Therefore, when they try to dissolve in unity, they're actually just dissolving back into the collective trance. This is not samadhi. This is sleep. True samadhi is only possible through individuation. First, you exit the collective sleep. Then you realize your true self, and only then can this true self dissolve into the infinite. It's like 3 stages of a journey. First stage, collective trance. You don't know who you are. You're a program installed by society. Second stage, individuation. You wake up. You realize yourself as a separate consciousness. You find your unique path. Third stage, samadhi. You realize that this separateness was also an illusion, that your true self is universal consciousness playing the game of individuality. Buddha walked this path. First, he was a prince, a collective role. Then he became an ascetic, seeking his path, individuation. And finally, under the Bodhi tree, he attained samadhi. Realized there's no separate I. There's only Buddha nature, unified in all. Jesus too, first a carpenter, a social role. Then a prophet walking his own path, individuation. And finally, I and the Father are one, samadhi, realization of unity. This doesn't mean personality disappears. The wave doesn't stop being a wave when it realizes it's water. It simply stops considering itself separate from the ocean. You continue your unique life, but now you know this uniqueness is the play of the eternal, Leela, the divine dance in which one consciousness pretends to be billions of separate beings. And when you realize this, everything changes. You no longer fear death because you know only the form can die, not what you essentially are. You no longer fear losing identity because you understand you never were this identity.
You're free to play any role without identifying with it. You can be in the world, but not of the world. You can participate in humanity's collective game, but not be caught by it. This is true freedom. Not freedom from the world, but freedom in the world. Not rejection of life, but full acceptance of life from the position of one who knows they are more than any life situation. Collective conditioning no longer controls you because there's no you that can be controlled. There's only eternal consciousness temporarily playing the role of your personality. And from this position, you live more fully than ever, because you're no longer held back by fear, not limited by social programs, not wasting energy maintaining a false identity. You simply are. And this simply being contains all the fullness of existence. The path from collective conditioning to samadhi is the path from sleep to awakening. It's the greatest journey a human can undertake, not in space, but into the depth of their own being. And the most amazing thing, this journey is available to everyone. You don't need to be a saint or genius, you just need to be willing to look honestly. See the programs, free yourself from them, and discover what has always been here beneath all layers of conditioning. Your true self, which never born and will never die, which existed before all programs and will remain after them, which watches the entire game of life with a quiet smile, knowing it's just a game. Welcome home.